Dokie. Hi, everyone. Cathy Sabater, mortgage advisor, proud veteran here with a phenomenal realtor in San Diego, Collette Jimenez. Hey,
Good
Collette.
afternoon. Hey guys.
And today's topic is first time home buyer.
Yes, ma'am. So being a first-time home buyer is exciting, right? But let's be honest, it's pretty scary and sometimes it feels like we're speaking a different language. So I want to help Kat and I are going to help you set you up for success by discussing the first-time home buyer roadmap. So I want to share a quick story about a client of mine. I was doing floor time and they walked in and they had the expectation that they were just going to be able to purchase a manufactured home. And they didn't have high income. They had great credit scores, but didn't have a lot of money and didn't have a lot of hope. So we sat down and we really discussed their financial well being. And after getting them pre qualified, we were actually able to find something other than a manufactured home, and that was a PUD, which, if you're not familiar, that is a planned urban development. And it's kind of like a very small condo complex. So this was 4 units together. There was two shared walls, and they were able to get into this great community of little planned developments, much like what you would see in a condo complex, like I said. And part of the aspects that really made a difference in this transaction was sitting down and looking realistically at their finances. And Kat, I'm sure you can tell us that there's the financial foundation is so important when you are looking to purchase a home. And there's a lot of different variables that go into what makes your qualification different than someone else's. And so they were basing it on what other people had done in their life. And so it's just so individual that you actually have to sit down with someone and discuss the very significant, very individual look of what their financial health looks like. So we were able to get them a much better property than what they were expecting that they would have to purchase.
Which is phenomenal.
Yeah. So I searched high and low for something in their budget after sitting down with a lender. And we did look at tons of manufactured homes. And then we were actually able to eke into and find this. I found this little community, and they just had one that had just come up, and we were just able to slide right into that transaction. So it was really exciting.
Which is phenomenal. So what's so great about that is manufactured homes are great, but you have to make
They
sure
are.
that you own the land. That's the first thing. And believe it or not, there are some manufactured homes that could be as low as 200,000 or as much as
Yes.
800,000, depending on the area you're in. So when you're a
Yeah.
first time home buyer, especially here in San Diego County, I love the fact that Collette is saying, hey, let's talk about your budget. Let's talk about what you can really buy in your budget. Now, if you're okay with stretching a little and getting a little more for your money, then let's do what we have to do, right? Because the home
Right.
buying process itself, it is very exciting. It's very stressful, but at the end of the day, you are no longer a renter. You are now a
Right.
homeowner and you are building equity. So let's talk about the process itself. So first time home buyer, we're going to worry about your budget. There's different loan programs that you have to consider. There are some down payment assistance programs that are available for our buyers,
Mhm.
especially now that the market has kind of slowed down. Buyers have an opportunity to look at homes a lot longer, right? Because the days on the market have increased substantially since last year, correct?
They have.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And then it's all about house hunting and then making sure, right? Because you're not going to get everything you want in the house, right? Not everything you want in the backyard. So you have to be reasonable, knowing that, hey, I may have to do this, I may have to do that. Okay, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, if that's what you need, but you can only get 2 bedroom, 2 bath. You got to look at the math and say, hey, what's going to make my family happier? And I'll give you an example only because I do money. I'm going to do easy math. We bought this property. It's $400,000. It was a year ago, right? That
Yeah.
property now could potentially be worth $450,000. Okay.
Right.
That's
Depending on the market.
$50,000 of equity. What's equity? Well, you were busy
Buying
paying all
power.
this rent, right? You're paying all this rent. What did you get back? Nothing. Another lease, increasing your rent. But when you become a homeowner, that $50,000 of equity means who can save $50,000 in a year? Number one. So now that equity that you have, even though you got a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, you stayed there another 1, 2, or 3 years. That equity bills, you call Collette, 619-838-1696. You say, Collette, I'm ready for that 3-bedroom. We got enough equity in our home. We're ready to sell to buy. Let's make it happen. That is the beauty of being a first-time home buyer, moving to the next step.
Absolutely. And so the reason why this roadmap matters is because, like Kat said, this is one of the biggest financial decisions that you'll make. And along the process, if you don't have a plan, it could cost you extra money. So obviously we established the importance of your financial foundation, checking your credit score. You're going to reduce debt and save for down payment and closing costs. That's part of the initial part of the problem, or part of the roadmap.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the plan. And then when you meet with your your mortgage broker, like meeting with Kat, you discuss loan pre-qualifications and what that looks like. That, like she said, the programs that are available, whether it's FHA, VA, or conventional. A lot of those program specific grants, and you need to discuss how those loans impact the monthly payment and affordability. One of the things that you have to take into account is, are you buying in a HOA area? So that pulls away from your buying power. So those are all part of the financial foundation that you have to set. And choosing the right loan program. So after that, you start building your dream. Your dream team. You talk to your lender, your realtor, your home inspector, and you look at title and escrow. We'll get into a little bit more detail with title and escrow a little bit later. That's a different video because that's a whole video all in itself. But I'm going to tell you, choosing the right agent makes a difference. Choosing someone like the right mortgage broker makes a difference. Kat has tons of experience with VA buyers, cash out refis, doing things where you're purchasing and maybe you have a property and you have that equity and you want an investment property. So there's so many different scenarios, and having a financial expert like Kat and having a real estate expert like myself really makes a difference. So after you get through all of that, now we're on to the house hunting. So what's the strategy, right? Like Kat said, you may decide to purchase something smaller. It may not be everything you want, but you get your foot in the door so that in 3 to 5 years, you call us back and you're like, hey, we're ready to go. We're ready to buy up and sell this property. We have this equity. So you have to narrow down the nice to haves and the must haves.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're buying this with a partner or with other family investors, like a multi generational home, people need to be on the same page. That is definitely one of the things that Kat you can attest to. When we're not on the same page, it creates some wrinkles.
But we got an iron to get right through it, because before Collette actually takes you out to look at the property, we want you to understand what that mortgage payment could potentially be. Right. So it's all part of that financial makeup. So whether you're buying alone, with your spouse, with multi individuals, we want you to know, hey, your payment could be about this amount. Interest rates change daily, but at least you know before you walk in that house, this is your potential mortgage payment and you're okay with that. And then Collette goes in, and then when she's showing you property, you're going to be looking at it in 2 ways. Okay. You as a buyer, first time, but then she's a realtor. So her eyes are trained differently to see things that I know I don't see as well as Collette does when she's showing property, which is a phenomenal thing, because once you look at homes, they start looking alike. So you got to take a lot of notes, take some pictures, and that's where Collette really goes into your wants and your needs. And so we go through all of this and you're like, okay, I like this house. I'm going to make an offer. Okay. This is where Collette negotiation 101. And this is where it is very important to have a very good realtor on your side to fight and or negotiate for the price that you want.
Yeah. And one more thing that I wanted to throw in there, Kat, that you were mentioning is that when you get qualified, there's what you qualify for and what you're comfortable with. And that's why Kat said, the interest rates can go up and down, but you need to have a solid idea of what you're comfortable paying, because oftentimes you qualify for more, but when you look at that payment, is that a payment you want to make month over month, year over year? So that's a really important thing. So we found the house. What are we doing next? We are writing an offer. And like Kat said, that's where my negotiation skills kick in. I'm always advocating and working and negotiating for you to get the most of everything you want and need, right? So what we write strong offers. We discuss price, terms, and contingencies, and we look at how competitive the market is right now, and that affects our strategy. And what we do from there is assuming that we get our offer accepted, which we do. Spoiler alert, we get the house. Then we move into our escrow process. Part of the escrow process is your initial deposit. And that's one of the things that you'll save money for, is for your inspections and your initial deposit. That initial deposit goes toward any of your fees. But it's sellers, when you're selling the property, it's typically about 1%, or as negotiated, 1% of the purchase price that you put down. And that goes into or pulls out of the money that you have to bring to the table. So if you're doing a FHA 3.5% down, it'll go toward your 3.5%. But sellers want to see an initial deposit for proof of investment. Like, we want this house. Here's our deposit. And so you take that deposit and the escrow process starts. You have your home inspections, and if there's repairs, you negotiate those repairs. You have the appraisal, and that appraisal determines the value of the home that the lender is willing to lend on. Now, Kat, can you say a little bit about how the appraisal affects the loan?
Yes. So when you're writing the offer, Colette's going to walk you through the whole process, because there's a whole lot of protections in there for you.
Yeah.
And one of them is home inspection, which you mentioned. The other is the appraisal. So when you're dealing with the appraisal, let's just do easy math. I'm buying a house for $500,000. I put the offer in for $500,000. It comes back at $525,000. Woo! As is. That means you purchased a house with what? $25,000 equity. That means you have definitely done a great job. Okay. Now, does that happen often? You'll be surprised. It happens more often than not. And when you do that appraisal, because your loan is only based on 500, banks like, let's move on. Let's keep on going. Let's say the opposite happens. The purchase price is 500. It comes in, let's say comes in at 475. Well, now we got 25,000 under. And this is where Colette's negotiation skills come in, because the bank's not going to give you more than 475. So Collette goes back to the listing agent. They have the conversation. They've already done the comms, so they kind of know what's going on, and they already have the strategy in place for you, believe it or not, because Colette's been doing this for a while. And it's not a game, it's a strategy. Okay. Correct. So if it comes in 25,000 less, either the seller gives all of it or everybody gives and takes, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're really happy with the house, Colette's going to do whatever she can to negotiate and make that happen for you. And absolutely. That's the biggest thing about the appraisal process.
And that appraisal process is one of the biggest things in determining the price and value of the home. So there's the amount we write the offer for, and then the appraisal could change and reopen that negotiation process, as does the repairs. So there's different processes. There's different events in our home buying process that opens up negotiation, and those are two of them. So we have our title and escrow timeline. So say we have a typical 30-day escrow. You begin at day 1, you close at day 30, and in between there are contingencies such as your loan contingency, appraisal contingency, and inspections. And there are more, but that's, again, another video for another day. So what do you expect once we close and when you move in? Well, closing typically happens. We get confirmation that they recorded the title document, and that's key day. So that's probably one of my favorite days of the transaction is when we get to celebrate and I actually get to hand you keys and you get to begin moving in, assuming that there's no other stipulations where there's a rent back. And so there's a lot of moving parts in a real estate transaction. And this is just obviously a very brief overview. I'm going to give you a couple more bonus tips. Is that once you close, you want to have a first year budget. You have property taxes, insurance, and maintenance of your home. And so that's sometimes things that people don't think about, especially if you're used to having rented or you're coming from living with someone else. Again, maybe you exchanged money and rent for your home, but it's very different when you are the homeowner and you are now responsible for all of the upkeep and repair. So having that in your mind of wanting to budget what that first year looks like and really getting an idea of it is super important. You're going to set up your utilities during escrow. I'm going to backtrack just real quick because there is something I forgot. During escrow, you have to avoid any large purchases. No large purchases, nothing that requires credit and nothing that drains your bank account. And Kat, you can attest to this as a lender. If all of a sudden the underwriter's like, wow, they had a huge deposit, they had a huge withdrawal, they made a purchase of a car while escrow was open. All of those things affect your financial standing and could change your opportunity and ability to purchase a home. So I wanted to go back and address that real quick. Have you seen that happen?
Unfortunately, yes. Some on the plus side because they made enough money to do what they do, and then some on the negative side because they didn't earn enough money. And so now they have a new car, but now they can't get the house that they want.
Yeah.
And
I
and
I would hate to be so short-sighted that we have an amazing car, but we missed out on the opportunity to get your foot in the door and get into the real estate industry.
And I have to interject because when you do the financial planning, most people today will not do that. Because if they stick to the plan, because that's the key. You have a plan, you stick to the plan. A thing that I also tell people is kind of get used to your new mortgage payment. If it takes us a month, 2 months, 3 months to get you your house, start making that payment so you can get accustomed to it. And then that becomes part of your savings. Okay.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when you're getting the keys and now you're a homeowner, Collette also mentioned maintenance and stuff like that. She also makes sure that she does home warranty. She usually makes sure that you upgrade it. And again, there's so many moving pieces, and we're going to start putting these pieces into place and have separate videos so that you can understand exactly what we're doing. So this was the first time home buyer program, right? Your first time home buyer. So I guess the second part of this video, what should we talk about is, okay, let's talk about your down payment assistance and or your financial plan itself with Collette showing you, here goes the properties you could potentially qualify for, and then creating a plan. In that case, if you're not ready to wait, give Collette a call. What number should they call you at, Collette?
Call me at 619-838-1696, and I'll take a personalized look at your circumstances and find the best home for you.
There you go. Bye.
Bye.